Welcome to Larry Under Pressure. In this video, he will be demonstrating one of his favorite desserts, rice pudding. He'll be fixing it quickly and easily in the Instant Pot Duo Mini. So, here's Larry.
Welcome to the show, y'all. I'm using the Instant Pot Mini 3-quart tonight, but you can use the larger 6-quart or 8-quart, or you can use the power pressure cooker or any other kind of electric pressure cooker that you want to use. You can even use a pressure cooker on the stove top. So let's get started and put our ingredients in. And we're going to start with 1 cup of rinsed white, and this is actually Basmati rice. And it's important that you rinse it. And I rinsed it maybe 4 times till it ran pretty clear. And if you don't rinse it, it won't be nearly as fluffy or as light as if you do. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 cup of plain tap water. You don't want it cold and you don't want it hot. Next thing I'm going to do, and this will seem kind of strange, but I'm going to put a 1/3 cup of raisins. And the raisins are absolutely, if you want them. I like them. You can use raisins, you can use cranberries, dried cranberries work best, of course, or anything else you might like to put a little extra kick and flavor in it. So I'm going to add a 1/3 cup of raisins and let them cook with the rice so they get nice and puffy. But because I'm doing the raisins, they're going to absorb right much moisture. So I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of water extra in there so that when the raisins absorb it, it won't leave the rice starved for water. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing inside the pot. There you go. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my dry ingredients. And in these dry ingredients I have a pinch of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/2 teaspoonful of nutmeg, and a pinch of ground cloves. And I'm going to put that all in there and let that cook in the rice to flavor it as we go. So let's stir that up. Get it nice and mixed together. In addition, I didn't think to tell you, instead of putting the cinnamon, the ground cinnamon in there, you can use cinnamon sticks. You could use a couple or 3 of them. It's personal preference. I like the ground cinnamon. I think the flavor is a little more potent, and you don't have to try to fish the cinnamon sticks out of the rice after you get through with it. And that's all we're going to put in there for now. So we're going to put the lid on, going to close the valve to seal, and then we're going to set the pot up to cook. We're ready to move to the next step. So we're going to set the pot on pressure. We're going to use high pressure, and we're going to set it to 5 minutes. And of course, with the Instant Pot, you don't press start. It'll start on its own in just a minute. Let's wait and we'll hear it. There it goes. It started. Now it's on, and it'll display on until it comes up to pressure. Once it gets up to pressure, then the 5 minutes that we set it to cook will display on the front of the pot and count down to 0. Once it reaches 0, we're going to let it do a natural release for at least 15 minutes or until the pin on the top drops, indicating that all the pressure has been released from the pot. If we don't do that, the rice won't be fully cooked. So let's let it sit here for probably 4 to 5 minutes until it gets up to temp, and then we'll check back. The little vent on top just sealed, and it's been running for about 5 minutes, which is about what I thought it would do. And we'll wait for just a minute or so, and it ought to cut over to the 5-minute cooking stage. There it went. Now we have 5 minutes of cooking and then 15 minutes of cool down, and the cooking portion is just about done. So we'll let it sit there and cook, and then we'll come back and check on it. You can hear it beep, and it's changed to all zeros now. It'll begin its count up, and we're going to let it count up to 15 minutes, and at that time we'll release whatever pressure there is left on the pot, and I doubt there'll be any. And add our last few ingredients and stir it up, and it'll be done. While we're waiting for that to happen, of course you're not going to have to wait because I'm going to speed through it on the video, but I would ask, if you enjoy these videos and you get anything out of them, to please share them with other people and click below on the notification icon so that when I upload new videos you'll be notified immediately. Doesn't mean you have to watch them, you can ignore them if you want to, but it sure helps us. And also, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and your help would be tremendous if you haven't already subscribed. We're getting about 60% to 70% of the people that watch these videos are non-subscribers, and I'd like to get that up a little bit. At the bottom right hand corner of your screen, you'll see a little red box that says subscribe in it with an arrow. If you'll click on that, it'll give you the opportunity to subscribe to my channel, and I would appreciate it more than you could imagine. Thank you, and we'll be back in just a minute to finish this up. There's 15 minutes, so the cooking time is done. We're going to press cancel to turn it off. And as we look at the top, the pin has already fallen, so we're going to go ahead and open the top up and see what we've got. Let's give it a check. We're going to move the valve just to make sure, but we know the pressure's released because the pin dropped. Take the lid off. Looks good. Let me fix it where you can see it better. Let's give it a little stir. Looks like the rice is well cooked. The raisins are cooked in it. All of the dry ingredients we put in there look like they're mixed up very well. Nothing is stuck. And it looks like we're well on our way. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in 1 full can. And let me look on it. I don't know how many ounces it is. 14 ounces. We're going to put in a 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk. That'll add milk, but it'll also add sugar, and it won't be grainy because it's already mixed into the milk. That's the good thing about the sweetened condensed milk. Besides that, I love it. It's good in coffee and all kinds of things you can do with it. One of my favorite dishes is lemon icebox pies, and they're done really, really well with sweetened condensed milk. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add 1 full cup of milk. I'm using just regular whole milk. If you want it creamier and thicker, you could use half and half, or you can use cream, whipping cream, or heavy cream if you want to. I just don't want it that thick, and I find that the milk works just fine. So that's what we're doing with that. Let's mix that up. If it seems too thick, it's perfectly fine to mix in a little more milk. But remember, as this cools and as it sits for a little while after you've finished it, it's going to get thicker. And I'm going to pour in, supposed to put in about a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And that's what I've put in there. Now let's stir it up and take a better look at it. Okay, it's not quite as thick as what I'd like it to be, but it will be. As it sits and the rice absorbs a little bit more of the liquid, and the raisins absorb a little bit more of the liquid as well. Let's turn the pot to saute on high, and we're going to bring it to a boil, and that'll help thicken it up. As soon as it comes to a boil, I'll put the camera back on it. I've had it on saute high now for about 4 or 5 minutes, and it's beginning to get kind of bubbly, and it's thickening up. We're going to let it sit here and boil for a few minutes, or not really boil, but kind of simmer, which is about all it'll do. For a few more minutes, and once it does that, then we'll be done and do like I said before and let it sit and cool and thicken up a little bit more. Again, during this stage, as I told you, if it gets too thick or thicker than what you want, it's perfectly fine to add more milk or cream or whatever dairy you've used in yours. We'll come back in a minute and take one last look at it. Now it's been on sear saute high for about 10 minutes. As you can see, it's all bubbly and getting much thicker. And it's about as thick as I want it to be because it's gonna thicken up even more once it cools, and I don't want it to be real thick. It's pudding, and that's the consistency that we want. So I'm going to turn off the pot, and we'll let it cool down. Also, in the interest of having really smooth, good rice pudding, while you're stirring it, and it needs to be stirred pretty much through this phase of the cooking, if you see lumps or chunks of rice that's stuck together, do what I do with them and move them to the side of the pot and mash it against the side to break the chunk up, and it'll make a much better pudding. Okay, this is really done very well. We're going to let it cool. It's beginning to simmer down now. We'll let it cool for about 20 to 25 minutes, and then we'll come in and put some in a bowl and give it a taste test. Look, that's perfect now, especially when we know it's going to cool down and thicken up some more. I'll be back. This has been sitting here for about 30 minutes and it's gotten real good and thick. Actually, it could probably use a little bit of milk added to it, but I'm going to leave it this way. And we'll see. Always after I refrigerate it so I can store it. It's good for 3 or 4 days in the refrigerator. I can always add a little bit more milk and stir it up then. And in the meantime, I'm going to plate it up in a little bowl. Look at that. Doesn't that look great? I'm going to put it in a little bowl and we're going to give it a taste. We've got it in a bowl and it's cooled off, so let's give it a taste. Wow. That's really, really good. The rice is nice and tender. Needs a little bit more moisture, but as I told you, it's no problem. You can add more milk to it. And everything about it's good. Thanks a lot for joining us for the video. A recipe for this dish is listed down below in the information, along with Amazon purchase links for many of the items that we use on the channel, including the mini Instant Pot. It's great for things like this and for small recipes, especially if there's just 1 or 2 of you that you're cooking for. Hope you enjoy it, give it a try, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks again and bye for now.
We always appreciate you watching our videos and hope you get a lot out of them. Please feel free to leave comments below. Larry tries to respond to all of your comments as quickly as possible. For now, this is Andrew wishing you happy cooking. Take care.